What is up, awesome people of the internet, and welcome to episode 9 of Women's Basketball Weekly, your number one source for all levels of news and information related to women's basketball. All right, let's get into the week that was. So this past week was jam-packed with notable games, though I will say there wasn't really that many upsets to report. Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes are cruising along in their schedule. They defeated Iowa State 67 to 58 on Wednesday. And they also started conference play yesterday when they defeated Wisconsin 87 to 65. Now, one thing to note is that Caitlin Clark has surpassed 3,000 points and is on her march to finish college as the number one scorer in women's college basketball history, surpassing Kelsey Plum, who is currently number one on that top spot. Lauren Betts and her UCLA Bruins are cruising along on their schedule, and they are still undefeated. On Thursday, they easily destroyed Cal State Northbridge 111 to 48. Kiki Rice in that game had a triple-double. She scored 14 points and 10 rebounds, as well as notching 10 assists in that game. On Sunday, UCLA took down Florida State University 95 to 78. And in that game, Lauren Betts once again showed the world that she is an elite post player. She had 22 points in that game, as well as 18 rebounds. Freshman Juju Watkins is still doing her thing. On Sunday, USC defeated UC Riverside 83 to 53. Juju had 27 points in that game, and Raya Marshall added a double-double to the team, scoring 11 points and getting 12 rebounds. Undefeated Marquette narrowly defeated Illinois State yesterday with a final score of 64 to 62. Shout out to Marquette and the Golden Eagles for really putting people on notice to watch them play this year. Because when you're undefeated and you're rising in the rankings, people start to pay attention. NC State defeated Liberty yesterday, 80 to 67. And I want to give a huge shout out to Zoe Brooks, who got a triple-double in that game. She is the first Wolfpack player to achieve that feat since 2001. This past week, Indiana defeated Rutgers 66 to 56. And if you are an Indiana fan, good news to share with you all, because Sydney Parrish, who had a double-double in that game, has announced that she is planning to come back to Indiana for a 5th year. So Hoosiers fans, rejoice. All right, now let's get into some HBCU updates for you. In a pretty sizable upset, the SWAC's very own University of Arkansas Pine Bluff defeated Arkansas 74 to 70, which is a big deal for a SWAC team to defeat a SEC team. Arkansas, has been pretty good this year, and University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, they coming for y'all. So shout out to them for having that pretty sizable defeat. Wake Forest also narrowly defeated Norfolk State this week. They beat them 51 to 46. In other NCAA news, Duke beat Florida Gulf Coast 82 to 63, and UConn defeated North Carolina 76 to 64. And y'all, now let's talk about the game of the week, as I saw it at least. South Carolina versus Utah. South Carolina won 78 to 69. And while the Gamecocks got the W by 9 points, Utah played an overall amazing game, and they played well enough to win this game. Now, y'all keep this in mind that Utah was playing this game without 2 of their best players, without their second and third leading scorer, and they still managed to lose by 9 points. Like, that is huge against the number one team in the country. And remember, y'all, Utah is a team that almost beat LSU in the tournament last season. Utah is a very good team that is led by one of the best players in the college game, Elisa Peely. Peely is listed as 6'2", but she is less than 6 foot tall, and she absolutely dominates in the paint and came out to the three-point line and drained some shots as well. So she was dominating on both ends, in the paint and on the three-point arc. Peely is very short, but she's a player who can score at ease, especially against bigger players. Now, I guess the question really is, where will Peely go in the WNBA Draft? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. And yes, South Carolina did get that dub, and Tahina Paopao, Chloe Kitts, and Malaysia Fool, while they did do their thing. But I do want to give a special highlight to Tahina Paopao, who came to South Carolina knowing that this team was going to count on her for big buckets, especially threes, and she delivered. Tahina finished the game with 15 points and some huge buckets to secure the win for South Carolina. So while South Carolina did have players who stepped up and played well, in my mind, Utah really was a story of that game. Yes, they lost, but it was the way that they played and how they played really above their pay grade. Also, Utah's philosophy of threes or paint shots can be problematic at times, but overall, it's a very, very good strategy that did keep them in the game, though I do still think it possibly cost them the game. I did talk more about this game and the overall strategy of both teams in a live stream that I did right after the game. So if you want to watch that video, you can just watch it right up here and you can hear more commentary about that particular game. All right, guys, so that has been your weekly game update. And of course, there were other games that happened this week, but those are some of the notable ones that I wanted to specifically call out. So moving on, as of midnight on Sunday, there are currently 18 undefeated teams in women's college basketball. And I'm guessing that some of y'all probably don't know all of these teams. So let's go down the list for the undefeated teams so far. We have NC State that is 10-0 right now. We also have Miami that is 8-0. For the Big 12, we have a huge amount of undefeated teams. We have Texas at 10-0. TCU at 10-0, Texas Tech at 10-0. There's something about these Texas names. I don't know. Something's going on with the Texas teams. We got West Virginia, who is 9-0. And we have Baylor, who is 7-0. And UCF at 7-0 as well. So the Big 12 is doing some big things, being undefeated so far. In the Big East, we have one lone undefeated team, which is Marquette. They are 9-0 on the season. In the Mountain West, we have UNLV, that is 9-0, and we have Colorado State, who is 8-0 on the season. For the Pac-12, we have 4 teams. We have Washington, that is 10-0, UCLA, that is 9-0, Southern California, which is 8-0, and Oregon State, which is 7-0 on the season. For the SEC, we have one lone team, which is South Carolina. They are 9-0 for the season. And in the Sun Belt, we have one team as well, Old Dominion. And to round out the list of undefeated teams in the WAC conference, we have California Baptist, who is 8-0 on the season. So guys, that is the list. Any thoughts about some of these undefeated teams? How long do you think some of these teams will stay undefeated? And do you think there's a chance that we may have an undefeated team at the end of this season? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, y'all, March Madness will be here before we know it. So I did want to give you all a general update on some of the dates that y'all should look out for. And maybe you can decide if you want to book a plane ticket to watch some of these games. Selection Sunday for March Madness is March 17th. So that is the day that we will find out what the matchups look like. The first round starts on the 20th. And then we just continue down from there, going to the Sweet 16, which is on March the 29th through the 30th. And then the Elite 8, which starts on March the 31st. The important thing to know about the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 is that those games will either be in Albany, New York or Portland, Oregon. So if you want to watch some of those games, you might want to get your tickets, your flights right now. For the Final Four, that will be on Friday, April the 5th, at both 7:30 and 9 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN. Those games will be held in Cleveland, Ohio, at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Also, the NCAA Championship game will be on Sunday, April the 7th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. That game will be played on ABC and also hosted in Cleveland, Ohio. So now I have a question for you guys. Do you have any plans to go to some of these later round games? Let me know in the comments below. I am possibly thinking about doing a awesome People of the Internet meetup, possibly during the Final Four. So if you are planning to go to the Final Four, let me know, and maybe I can organize that. But I do plan on being there for both the Final Four games as well as the championship game. So yeah, let me know if you all plan on going, because maybe we could have a meetup. In other college basketball news, Kateri Poole is no longer with LSU.
Which we also didn't see Kateri Poole tonight. Is there a timetable?
She's no longer with us.
So she's not on the team at all?
Correct.
She won't be back this season?
Correct.
Okay. I guess overall, without her, the depth behind her, Chennedy, Angelica,
well,
what did you see from them tonight, and what do you hope to see them?
Well, you got to count Haley in there. Haley's, she's just kind of nursing that plantar fasciitis. Depth, anytime you lose any player for any reason, your depth becomes smaller, but I still think we have plenty. We have plenty.
Kim, I just wanted to follow up on Kateri. Was it dismissal or was it a mutual thing? Or
she's no longer on the team.
So yeah, we don't exactly know what happened or if the parting was mutual or one-sided, but one thing is for sure, Kateri Poole was exactly the player that LSU needed last year in the tournament. Kateri not being on the team is for sure a bummer for basketball fans in general, and we will see what happens from here. We don't know what the next steps are for Kateri, if there would be another team that will have Kateri on their team next year. We don't know. We will see. I did do a live stream about the news yesterday, so if you do want to check out that, I'll just put it right up here for you all to watch. Also, if you're curious, Angel Reese and her mom did post about the news, so I talked about that in the live stream. So if you want to check that out, just check right up there. Now, my question is for you. How do you think Kateri not being on this team affects LSU's efforts to repeat a national championship? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below. All right, y'all. Now let's take a look at these college rankings for week number 6. And for the first time in a long time, we actually have some consistency on the top 25. So as we can see here, there has been no changes in the top 10 for the rankings. So South Carolina at number 1, UCLA at number 2, NC State number 3, Iowa, Texas, USC, LSU, Colorado, Stanford, and Baylor round up the top 10. And then they're followed by Utah, who stays where they're at after their loss against South Carolina. Kansas State moved up one notch to number 12. Ohio State stays the same for Notre Dame. Indiana went up one spot to number 15, and Virginia Tech went down one spot. Just about everything else is just about the same, which is kind of cool to get some consistency with UConn, Louisville, Marquette, Creighton, Gonzaga, Florida State, UNLV, who is making their debut on the list, Miami, and North Carolina. So yeah, that is how the rankings fare. Once again, I do say that I think that Iowa is slightly too high. I would possibly put Texas and or LSU above Iowa, but I think that's like a small quibble for sure. Overall, I think the rankings are fine. I have no real changes to make to this, though I will say I have not been watching UNLV play, and they're definitely a team that I'm gonna start keeping an eye on of their play. So yeah, shout out to UNLV for making it to the top 25. But yeah, guys, that is the top 25 list. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you think any of these schools are, if you think any of these schools should be removed from the list, or where you think some of these teams should go. But overall, I think this is a good list. This is a very, very good list. And for the first time in a long time, we have some consistency finally to the top 25 list, because for a while it really has been jumping as the weeks have gone on. But now some consistency, and we can kind of like breathe a little bit. We have settled into women's college basketball. It just took us 6 weeks to get there. Took us 6 weeks to get there, but we are here. And so yeah, those are my thoughts about the top 25. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that South Carolina at number 1 and UCLA at number 2 are still really good picks? I think so. I think right now South Carolina still is the number 1 team, and shortly followed by UCLA and North Carolina. I think Texas is doing some really good stuff there as well, and of course LSU is always dangerous, waiting in the wings at number 7. But overall, let me know your thoughts. That is your weekly update. All right, now moving on. The WNBA Draft lottery was held yesterday, and the draft order is now officially set, and Indiana has the number 1 pick in the 2024 WNBA Draft, followed by LA, Phoenix, and Seattle. And with that pick, Fever fans celebrated the fact that it looks like their team is back to women's basketball relevancy. In the last couple years, Fever got some huge pieces in Nalissa Smith and Aaliyah Boston. And now with the number 1 pick in the 2024 draft, which is also held on April the 15th, by the way, I believe that the Fever will select Caitlin Clark, and we will have 3 core pieces that will possibly lead the Fever in the future to a WNBA championship. Because strategically, the idea of building through the draft, it works. Just look at the Aces and what they were able to do with 3 consecutive number 1 picks in Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, and Asia Wilson. They got 2 championships. Those are the results that you can get. Also, when you look at the Seattle Storm, what they were able to do with Lauren Jackson and Sue Bird through the draft, also with Jewel Lloyd and Brianna Stewart as well. They got some championships out of that. And so hopefully it is Indiana's turn to do the same thing. Now, I am very curious to what you all think about the 2024 draft. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, yesterday during one of my streams, the conversation came up about the WNBA not being as interesting as women's college basketball and what the WNBA needs to do to get college fans to become WNBA fans. Now, one thing that I talked about was the idea that when players graduate, they have huge fan bases that are looking to follow them at the next level. And when their favorite player gets cut, that does not help the growth of the game. Now, I do think for this upcoming draft, it is likely that at least the top 8 should make a WNBA roster for the actual regular season. But there really needs to be more done on the college side to make sure players are pro ready before they leave college. Also, on the WNBA side, there needs to be something more that can incentivize players to keep drafted rookies, because there is a fan base of support that can be tapped into. What are your thoughts about that? In particular, let me know if you are a WNBA fan or if you are just a college women's basketball fan, and what you think the WNBA needs to do differently to capture the college fan base and move them over to the WNBA. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, and on to In the History Books. And for this one, I wanted to do more of a recent story of sorts. As we all know, Caitlin Clark is moving up in the rankings for scoring and is currently leading the country in points. So I did what I do best, and I looked up old Google and tried to see the points per game leaders in the country from as far back as I possibly could. So I went through the different years, and I stopped at 2003 and 2004, as well as the 2005 and 2006 season, when I saw the same name pop up twice for both seasons. Her name is Tysell Bozeman, and for 2 years, she led the NCAA in scoring per game. She played for a D2 school called Felician University, which is a private school in Rutherford, New Jersey. Tysell was a 5'8" player, originally from Riverside, California. She originally played at Arizona, where she didn't play that much as a freshman. And as a sophomore, she ended up averaging a little tad under 9 points a game. She wanted to leave schools, but found out that if she stayed D1, she would only have 1 year remaining of eligibility. So instead, it was D2 it was. And Felician coach Ben Dinalo Jr. Really wanted her to go there. And he said, "I guess I was the most aggressive coach in responding to her emails." Well, it worked. Tysell played in 49 games for the Golden Falcons, and she racked up points as a junior, leading D2 in scoring with 27.3 points a game. And as a senior, she averaged an astounding 37.6 points a game. And this was second in all time for D2 history. And she scored over 40 points 12 times in that season as a senior. And she had 61 points in a game on December the 20th, 2002 against Dominican. She finished with 4 triple doubles as well. And when all was said and done, she was Felician's all-time leading scorer with 1,614 points in only 2 years, averaging 32.9 points a game. She also wasn't just a scorer. She could play some defense as well. She was second in Felician history with 195 steals in 2 years, again. Unfortunately, Tysell never actually made it to the WNBA, though she was invited to a tryout. She played briefly for a team in Poland in 2008. Now you may ask, why are you highlighting this player? Well, I'm doing so because of what she did. Even at the D2 level, the points per game she was averaging is amazing. It was so great that she's still in the record books today. And I know that I personally had never heard of Tysell Bozeman. I had never heard of her before, and you may not have either. And I really want this show to really highlight some of the names that we already know, but also some of the names of the players who have done some big stuff that we don't even know their name. And Tysell Bozeman, she's balling at Felician University. Like she was balling. And I wanted to, give her a little bit of shine because what she did was, at the time, was huge. Even at the D2 level, it was still huge. So my question is, have you all heard of Tysell Bozeman before? Let me know in the comments below. And as the weeks go on for this show, I'm gonna continue to highlight just like different aspects of the game and highlighting both D1, D2, and possibly some D3 players who have really done their thing back in the day. All right, so that is it for this section. If you liked it, please hit that like button. That would be awesome. All right, now for overseas talk. So Chennedy Carter has parted ways with her Chinese team, Hilgenjang. According to Chinese Women's Hoop Show, this is due to an injury that Chennedy has suffered. At the time of her injury, Chennedy was the league's leading scorer and has really been the reason why her team was even winning games. Now, the question is, how severe is her injury, and will she be able to play for WNBA training camps? So we will see what happens. But I'm definitely praying for health for Chennedy Carter, that she's able to be all set to go for the WNBA. And for this week, we are going to do a round of where are they now? A moment where I look back at a WNBA team and let you know what all of their players are doing right now. And we begin with Morgan Birch. She was a rookie last season with the Sky, and she is currently playing in the Spanish League and in the Euro Cup for a team called Girona. I'm probably pronouncing that name wrong. I'm probably going to pronounce a lot of these names wrong in this segment, so apologies in advance. Girona plays in Euro Cup, and Morgan Birch is currently averaging 13 points per game on 22 minutes played. So shout out to Morgan Birch. Kateri Poole finished her 7th season in the WNBA and opted not to go overseas for this offseason. She has spent her time coaching at her alma mater and is now the new women's basketball director of athletic culture and professional development at Rutgers. Long title, right? But yeah, shout out to Coach Copper for doing her thing. Now, sort of moving on to second-year player Dana Evans, who plays for Besiktas in the KBSL and Euro Cup. Dana has been really doing her thing overseas. She's averaging 23 points a game in both the KBSL and Euro Cup, and also she's racking up some assists for both leagues as well, averaging 6.1 and 5.8 assists per game, respectively, for the KBSL and Euro Cup. And Rebecca Gardner is back. And she was basically injured for the entirety of last season for the Sky, and now she is back healthy and has signed with Girona, the same team as her Sky teammate Morgan Birch. Gardner played with the team last year and averaged 13 points a game. So let's hope for a very healthy season for Gardner, who is about to be suiting up pretty soon for for returning for her team. All right, moving on to Isabel Harrison, who finished her 6th year in the league and also spent the entire year injured for the Chicago Sky. She is still working to be back healthy soon, so prayers for her for that. Last year, she played for Athletes Unlimited, so we will see what she decides to do this year or next year in January once she actually gets back healthy. Also, I do want to say shout out to Izzy for getting her first PE with the Jumpman brand. All right, next up we have Ruthie Hebert, who has made it 3 years with the Chicago Sky. Ruthie joined the Sky a bit late last season due to the birth of her child. For this offseason, you can find Ruthie coaching on the sidelines. Like Copper, Ruthie is an assistant coach for TCU. And y'all, just a side comment, but TCU is really looking like the new Oregon. So many former Oregon coaches and players are going to play for TCU. So shout out to TCU. And they're undefeated. So, they're doing something right. Sika Kone was a late pickup for the Chicago Sky after training camp, and she had a pretty decent rookie season for the Sky. She is currently playing for Avendia, a Spanish team that currently plays in both the Spanish League as well as EuroLeague. Right now, Sika is averaging 13.8 points a game and 6.9 rebounds in EuroLeague. Marina Mabrey wrapped up her first season with the Chicago Sky and her fourth season in the WNBA. She's currently playing with Mersin. They are a Turkish team playing in the KBSL and EuroLeague. In EuroLeague, she's averaging 18.3 points a game. Robin Parks completed her rookie year with the Chicago Sky and is currently playing with Italian team Ciccio. They play in Italy's Series A league as well as EuroLeague. In EuroLeague, Robin is averaging 11 points a game. So shout out to Robin Parks. In this past season, Alana Smith showed that she can ball as the Chicago Sky starter. She wrapped up her fourth year with the league and is continuing where she left off with Turkish team Imlak that plays in both the KBSL and Euro Cup. Alana is averaging 19.2 points a game and 8.8 rebounds a game in the KBSL. And we also have Taylor Soule, who joined the Sky late last year as a rookie, and she is doing her thing in Italy with her team San Martino, where she's averaging 11.7 points a game, as well as being a starter, playing around 30 minutes a game in the Italian Series A1 league. All right, now on to the Williams girls. So Elizabeth Williams wrapped up her 8th year in the WNBA and her first year with the Chicago Sky, and now she's playing in Turkey with Merlin, where she is teaming up with Marina Mabrey again. So far, Elizabeth is averaging 10.8 points a game, as well as 12.1 points a game in both the KBSL and EuroLeague as a starter. And finally, let's talk about the life of the party, Miss Courtney Williams, who wrapped up her 7th year in the WNBA and is now playing with Shanghai Red Wolves in China. Now, it's hard to kind of find any information about how she's exactly doing because I don't read the language. However, shout out to Chinese Women's Hoop Show because according to them, Courtney Williams is doing a pretty good job. She's had several 20-point games, even helping her team go to overtime with a clutch bucket the other day. So yeah, guys, that is where your 2023 Chicago Sky players are currently. Thoughts about how these players are faring? Let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you have a suggestion for another WNBA team that I should highlight next. Also, let me know if you like this format of letting you know player by player where folks are going and what they're doing right now. All right, guys, that is the show. I thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you found the show informative and somewhat entertaining. If you did, please hit that like button and please let me know your thoughts about the show in the comments below. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. And also, if you don't do anything else, I do ask if you can please share this episode with someone who is a women's basketball fan or a potential women's basketball fan. I thank you all so much for watching. I will catch you all tomorrow for another video. And until next time, guys, bye.